Okay, so everybody's been asking me, they're like, please do a studio tour, please do a studio tour. So here we are, Studio Tour 2018. I'm going to be showing you my gear and you're going to be looking at it. Okay, let's go. Here you go. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Okay, so I'm not really a gearhead, but I just really enjoy having guitars that work with me and not against me. And I never really paid for guitars. I don't really get them for free. That would be insane. But if one company wants to hook it up, I will not say no. Okay, so I live in a pretty large city, so it's really easy to find guitars for very cheap or for trade or whatever. And most of the time I see like listings of guitars. I'm like, yo, trade me for this. And they're like, okay, no one gives a shit. But I did reach a time where I was like looking at gear all day. I was like, yo, bro, like instead of spending all this time working, like looking at gear, spend this time doing something else or working on music. It's going to be better. And it is better. So if you're stuck looking at gear all day, bro, like, anyway, my first guitar is my main guitar and everybody keeps asking me what this is. This is not a PRS. It does not say PRS. This is a Warmoth custom from warmoth.com. I'm not sponsored, but I think Warmoth they have like the best guitar builder online because you can see the changes you make in real time. I think Halo Guitars also has that, but it's really nice and fun to play around with because as I was building, I didn't really want a blue guitar, but it was just so fun to play around with the colors. And I'm like, what if all the hardware was gold? What if this was blue? So what if one of the tone pots was black? And this is what I came up with. It has a Seymour Duncan Pegasus in the bridge, which I think is the best pickup for like prog metal. It has clarity, note separation, just clutch. And did I just fucking say clutch? And it has two hot rails in the mid and the neck positions. Wilkinson Tram, very dope guitar in general. I would not trade this or sell it because usually it would not sell for a lot. Also, I like playing it. I do not want to get rid of it. The second guitar that I have but never use, and that was like my second guitar. I got it back in 2007. It's an Ibanez RGE 220B. It is one of the lowest range Ibanez. It's a nightmare to set up. It does have like a fast Ibanez neck, but it's not worth the setup. I hate Floyd Rose. I never want to set up a Floyd Rose in my life again, and that's like a promise I made to myself. Life's too short to deal with Floyd Rose. I don't even use the benefits of it, so why? So I just leave it there because it's a nice thing to have, one of your first guitars. And also I would not get anything for it if I want to sell it, maybe like 80, 90 bucks. Third guitar is the one I got recently. It's an Ibanez Iron Label something. It has two bare knuckle, cold sweat, and something else. I forgot what it was.
You know, I'm something of a
gearhead
myself.
But yeah, I really like this one. I'm using it to record my EP. If you want to pre-order, it's in the description. Shameless plug. But yeah, I don't really care about like having more guitars or owning more guitars. It's just that if that Ibanez feels really good to me now, so I'm just going to play it until I get a Kiesel. Fourth guitar is the Gretsch that I won from Samurai Guitarist. I've always wanted a hollow body guitar and now I have one, so very good. This is pretty much it for my guitars. Let's move on to amplifiers. I did have a PV 5150 block letter a while back with a 4x12 and an orange, one of the smaller oranges, I forgot which one. I did sell the orange for Disneyland tickets and I traded the block letter for the 5150 EVH lunchbox along with the EVH Wolfgang guitar, which I think was a pretty good deal. And then I traded the Wolfgang guitar for the 11 rack that I have right now. I'm not currently using the 5150 because I don't have a cab and I don't really want to mic up a cab. It's a pain and I live in an apartment, so plugins usually work best. So I have the Focusrite 2i2, one of the older models. Worked pretty well for me, got it for really cheap. And I use Bias FX for the past 2 or 3 years. Really good plugin. I think they always have like sales going on. But then recently I got rid of my EVH Wolfgang guitar. I traded it for the Avid 11 rack, which is a very old amp modular. It's not really considered good for metal tones, but I did get a couple of good tones out of it. And it's really usable because I didn't really pay anything for it. So if you notice, I didn't really pay for any of my gear. It's just a chain of trades. But it works out because I'm really broke and this is the only way I can afford to acquire a new gear. I think this is it for amps. What I have here is the QX49 MIDI keyboard that I use for basically all the MIDI stuff, along with the Samsung SR850 headphones. These are like the budget recording headphones that I would recommend. They're like 35 bucks, maybe 40 tops. And they work really well. Let's move on to pedal board. This is going to be very interesting for most of you. I know a lot of you want to see my pedal board, so this is my pedal board setup right now. I've been working about 3 to 4 years to build this one. It's taken a lot of time, a lot of patience, a lot of trading in gear, you know, finding the right parts, but this is it. I know, it's insane. I really love the Strymon in the corner. The most I've had this pedal board built was when I was in the Megadeth cover band. It looked something like this, but then I just sold I think the Tube Screamer for like 90 or 85, something really cheap. So I only have the tuner here right now, which I don't really need either because the tuner in the 11 rack works really well. The studio monitors that I use are Mackie CR4s or CR3s, I think. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The mics that I use are SM57 and this Fifine something. I forgot the model number. But yeah, sounds pretty good. So let's move on to software. So I just filmed 15 minutes and then I realized that my microphone was off. Why did I go to film school? Let's move on to software and the amp sims that I use. The only amp sims that I've used are Toneforge Jason Richardson. I didn't really like it. Bias FX 1 and Bias Amp. Love this one. Works pretty well. And Toneforge and then Toneforge Misha Mansour, which also works pretty well. And then before I got a bass, I did use Forefront bass. By the way, I forgot to tell you about the bass that I use. The bass that I use is a Schecter Stiletto 4. This is pretty much all I know about bass guitars. So let's go back to what we were talking about. Before I got that bass, I used Forefront bass. It's a free VST. I talked about it. I did talk about it before. It works well. It doesn't sound that great, but it gets the job done if you just want a low frequency hovering. I also use Easy Keys for all the piano and keyboard parts that I record. I also use Omnisphere 2 for all the synth work and weird ass sounds that I need. It's a really intense and a really huge plugin. I use Superior Drummer 2 for the drums with the standard kit that comes with it. And this is pretty much it. The camera that I use is a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which is very YouTube non-friendly because everything you shoot you have to color grade and that takes time, especially if I want to just film and upload. But I do enjoy color grading. Battery life is complete garbage. I'm not even joking. Batteries last me between 20 and 30 minutes on this camera. But the image quality is okay, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you stop asking me about my gear because I just told you everything. I'm going to read the most recent comment on my channel right now. And that comment is... Best guitar lesson I found online so far, thanks. Oh, no, that's not good.